At some point or another in life, we come to a point where we question our adequacy, and that could be for a job, it could be for a reward or a relationship, it could be for an award for doing something good. So you've already done the thing, and now you're being recognized for the thing you've already done. But what happens is we question if we can do this and if we can participate in that opportunity that's in front of us. Well, here's the truth. The truth is that you are self-sufficient and you do not need to be someone else, despite what social media, what adverts, or your favorite influencer personality tells you. Who you are when nobody is looking is good enough. Who you are is adequate and worthy of the opportunity that's presented to you. The temptation to pawn off an opportunity, to just shirk it off due to inadequacy, well, that's a natural occurrence, but you can't allow those thoughts to be the ones that are dominant in your mind if you want to have a fruitful, productive, and successful life. So in this episode of the Fast Growth Podcast, I'm going to give you undeniable reasons about why you are enough, and not just enough, but more than enough. Hi and welcome. You're welcome to this episode of the Fast Growth Podcast, and it's your host, Bayo here. In this episode, I'm responding to an email from a listener who said they struggle with feeling like they aren't enough. And I think that feeling, it's been also given a title, the imposter syndrome, or, one of those terms that's just used to cover self-doubt, a lack of self-confidence, and so on. It's a feeling many people can relate to, and maybe you too can as well. I certainly can relate to the feeling of not feeling enough because I've struggled with that feeling, that very same feeling, at different points throughout my life, both professionally and personally. And there are still times now that I wonder if I have what it takes to achieve a new level of accomplishment. Now, the knowledge and tips in this episode helped me break through and break free whenever doubt crept in. And I believe the knowledge will help you too if you feel like you're not enough for the recognition, the awards, or the things that you want to do, but you can't seem to get yourself to do them. Oh, and being an introvert by nature in this day and age of social media falsehood and the age of the influencer makes it even more challenging. Challenging, but it's not impossible for you to accept the truth that you are more than enough. First of all, you are the value. I read a book by Emily Muratian. I might have butchered her name there, but I do think it's pronounced Muratian, Maroutiin. She's an award-winning writer, poet, and philosopher, and her book is titled In Case You Didn't Know. In it, she spoke about how we as individuals are the value, okay? That when it comes to a job or when it comes to a relationship that makes you feel like you aren't enough, you're meant to remember that, hold on, you are the value. Your intellect, your wit, how you think, your ideas, those are what make you you and make you unique. Therefore, there's no need to change who you are for something that's here today and maybe gone tomorrow. So if you feel like you're not enough, you are more than enough. And these are reasons why you need to believe this today. First and foremost, recognize that you are the value. It is everything that makes you you, that makes you unique. Understand also that you are more than enough because you are whole. Sometimes we tell people we love that, hey, you know what? You complete me. And it sounds very, very romantic. But really, we're all complete on our own. You are just as whole as anyone else. And nobody, absolutely nobody can complete you. It's important to understand this because understanding this helps you believe not only in your capabilities, but believe in yourself and believe in your abilities now and going into the future. So understand that you are whole. Understand and believe as well that you can do anything. Okay? When you know you're more than enough, you actually believe it. You don't just say it, but you then believe that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. If you think you're not good enough, it'll hold you back. I remember when I started out in business as a solopreneur, a solo entrepreneur, I knew what I didn't want. And back then, it was waking up every day at exactly the same time to go to the same spot on the platform to wait for the same train, surrounded by the same people, to get onto the same carriage, to take the train to the same station and get off at the same station, and then walk the same distance to get to an office, to sit in the same place, surrounded by the same people, many of whom I didn't really talk to because I was more introverted, even more than now, and then spend the same amount of time and then leave and repeat that journey all the way back home. I knew that that's not what I wanted, but I didn't know what I did want, okay? But I did believe that I could do anything when I saw people who had become freelancers, who'd become independent consultants. I knew that I could do that, but I didn't have the background. I had my professional experience from working in HR and training and coaching, but I didn't have that other experience. But I told myself, and I sincerely believed, that I could do anything. And that's where it starts. And I've spoken about this in other podcast episodes, so you can check those out. When I started out in business for myself as a solo entrepreneur, I failed 3 times in my first 5 years, but I kept going. Why? Because I believed that I could do anything. There were people doing exactly what I wanted to do, so I just needed to figure out what it was I needed to do, okay? So when you know you're more than enough and you believe you can achieve anything you set your mind to, you can do it. If you think you're not good enough, it is going to hold you back. If I had allowed the feelings of not being good enough, why me? I failed in business in the first year. Shouldn't I pack it in and go back to my regular 9-to-5 job? I didn't allow that to hold me back. And that's why after 5 years, I then broke through. I achieved a breakthrough, which I'm very grateful for. When you realize and recognize how great you truly are in your professional and personal life, you can follow your dreams, whatever your dreams are. It doesn't matter what your dreams are. You can follow those dreams, whether it's to establish yourself as a business, become a freelancer, change your job, find that person who understands you and gets you, so as to speak. You can follow those dreams without fear, without uncertainty and self-doubt holding you back. And those are just some of the things that hold people back. There's that all-important imposter syndrome that says, I'm not good enough to be paid a certain amount of money for what I do, for my skills, my experience, and your expertise, which is weird when you think about it, because if you are charging people for helping them with what you have already achieved, let's just be clear here, for things that you already understand and know how to do. So there's a difference between experience and expertise, okay? But your experience is you've done that thing. So if you're charging someone for the use of your experience and you still feel that it's not right, there's a separate issue going on there. And that's really where imposter syndrome comes into play, because there are thousands of people out there who are charging for what you're afraid of charging for. And that's just one example. It doesn't have to be about money. It could be about relationships. It could be about getting healthier, losing weight, or gaining muscles. It could be anything. But when you realize and recognize how great you truly are in your professional and personal life, it becomes easier for you to follow your dreams. And you don't need any gadgets or anything. You just need to be, and this is one of my favorite sayings, you need to be who you truly are when nobody is looking. This is who I truly am when no one's looking. I'm in my home office. I'm living my dream lifestyle. I'm recording this at 11 o'clock in the morning. and it's fun because I know it's going to change lives. And this is what I would do if I had the opportunity to do one thing in life. So, but what's holding you back? Now, as an introvert, I know how much I suffered from the dreaded imposter syndrome and how much it affected me professionally and personally. The missed business opportunities, the missed mutually beneficial relationships I could have developed through networks over the years. And part of that is the reason why I failed in my first 3 years. I just simply had zero network. And not that I have a large network now. I have a small circle of people I relate to, both professionally and personally, but back then it was tough. Starting out not knowing anyone, and you need to know people to generate revenue through business. So I get it, but the breakthrough came by realizing that I can actually do anything I set my mind to and just following through, okay? Knowing you're good enough is the start of new and exciting things. Now, I just have one other item for this episode of You Are More Than Enough, but I just want to quickly recap and remind you of the other tenets that I shared with you. And the first one is that you are the value. It's not what you wear. It's not how you look. It's just you, your intellect, your how you think, your wit, your ideas. Those are all things that provide the value that you provide. You are the value. The second thing is you've got to realize and accept that you are whole. Okay, you are absolutely whole. Nobody can complete you, even though it sounds cute and sounds sweet. You can do anything you set your mind to, without a shadow of doubt. And I shared my story with you. Even today, I don't have a large network of professional friends or colleagues, but that's good. You don't need that to share value. And finally, it's okay to ask for help. One of the things that helped me back then was there was an older gentleman I'd worked with on a number of assignments, John, and he was an engineer by training, and he had a very good way of doing things and relating to clients. And of course, I was new to the profession then, and so I asked him for help. And the advice he gave me back then, part of it is what goes into that statement, who you are when nobody is looking is the true you. He just said, you know what, just be you, because you have a way of talking about the same thing that I talk about that's different. You say it in your own voice, you have your own approach, your own style. And I took that on board. And that's when I broke free from the repetitive failure for the first 3 years. So it is okay to ask for help. Sometimes people think asking for help means that they're weak or they're not good enough. But that just isn't true. Asking for help is a brave and also a smart thing to do. Knowing when to ask for help shows that you understand your limits and you're willing to learn. And I don't see anything wrong with that, especially since I've been in that position at different points in time in my life. And even now, I still ask for help if I need it. So the takeaway from this short, fast growth podcast episode is that you are more than enough just as you are right now. Of course, keep learning, keep growing, keep improving yourself, but understand that you're important. Understand that you are whole. Understand that you were born capable of achieving anything you set your mind to, professionally or personally. And remember, asking for help, it isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of courage and wisdom. So, if you've ever at some point or another in life, which I'm sure you have, come to a point where you questioned your adequacy, whether for a position, for an award, for a relationship, to accept a reward, or anything really, I hope you now realize that indeed, you're not just enough, you are more than enough. Thank you for joining me today. It's been Bayo here. I've certainly enjoyed sharing this with you. If you're not following the Fast Growth podcast and you'd like to become the best version of who you are, no matter what you do, no matter how old or young you are, no matter what you believe you do or don't have, I invite you to subscribe to the Fast Growth Podcast and follow so you don't miss out on any of the tools, tips, or resources that we share we share with our community of followers. But until next time, it's goodbye and God bless.